Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Phil Ross, and I'm going to introduce you to two fellow space travelers here with me tonight, Laraaji and Paul Stamets. We all have bodies. We all move through space. And so we know these things to be true.
My name is Paul Stamets. I inhabit this collection of molecules. I am here as a representative of not only the fungal kingdom, but I hope to represent Gaian consciousness and the intergalactic connections that we share. I am also a representative of mycelium, and I have a nice shirt that says, I see mycelium. So Laraaji, I'm super honored to be on stage with you. I have never done this before. There's many things I've never done. But this is close to my heart and close to my spiritual being. So I want to take you on a voyage. We all inhabit these corporeal bodies temporarily. Our molecules assemble and disassemble. We go back into the galactic. I want to present to you that the foundation of the ecosystems of this planet are based on the fungal networks, and that mycodiversity is fundamental to the food web that produces and supports biodiversity. This is a painting I commissioned, synopsizing a paradigm-shifting breakthrough that I've been led to that could save bees from colony collapse disorder throughout the world. We are facing an imminent crisis, a crisis that threatens food biosecurity everywhere. Colony collapse is a consortium of stressors, but we have found just recently, as a beautiful moon rises to these words, that mushrooms, especially the polypore mushrooms, the wood decomposers, are absolutely essential for the immunity of the bees, and that these fungal networks permeate all landscapes. And with every footstep that we take, we walk upon membranes of filamentous mycelial networks. They sense every footstep. They respond to every footstep that we take. They awaken in our presence, and they follow us, recycling the wood debris and the concussions that we make upon the microscopic landscape. And they surge up in rejoicement to be able to recapture nutrients to feed the other life forms that are resident. So I want to introduce to all of you something that's very important. We need to celebrate decomposition. We need to understand that we will all decompose. We should face it. We should embrace it. This is our destiny. But from the decomposition of our ancestors and other life forms, we've assembled in this time and space to be who we are. In a sense, we are temporary custodians of molecules. And these molecules will reassemble into other life forms. Mushrooms are ephemeral, enigmatic, And yet mushrooms that come up and disappear in 4 or 5 days have the potential to heal you, to feed you, to kill you, or to send you on a spiritual journey. So it is not surprising that these mushrooms are looked upon with suspicion, with curiosity, with fear. In our visual landscapes, plants and animals, we have acquaintances with them for months, years. But for something that's so powerful and so ephemeral to come up and disappear so quickly, bespeaks to the mysteries of nature. Decomposition. Myceliation. Regeneration. Renewal. Rebirth. The filamentous networks of mycelium hold true to a universal concept, the concept of networks. Networks of communities, networks of cells, collaborations, guilds of organisms in concert, in competition, in truces, in peace. Our universe is composed of guilds of these networks. Our neurons are collections of cells that are networked. The computer internet is a network. I believe the invention of the computer internet is a repetition of a previously proven evolutionary successful model. Our destiny is to build upon our successes of our ancestors. The computer internet was invented at a time critical to share resources, ideas, innate intelligences. The organization of dark matter. More than 90% of the matter of the universe cannot be seen, but we know it's there. It conforms to string theory. These ellipses are galaxies. Throughout the cosmos, networks of invisible matter connect all space. One parsec is 3.26 light years. That's a gigaparsec. That's 500 megaparsecs. 250 megaparsecs. The internet of nature, the construct of the universe, builds upon these networks. This is the way. This is the way of our existence. This is the way of our future. I believe matter begets life. Life becomes single cells, Single cells repeat, become strings. Strings fork, divide. Membranes form. Networks emerge. And the interlacing networks, spatially, dimensionally, all create a uniformity of existence that we call life. Let's enter into the music of the spheres. The birth. Our Earth is born of the cosmos. 14.4 billion years ago, the Big Bang occurred. The Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago. The first forms of life appear 3.8 billion years ago, to the best of our knowledge from the fossil records. In fossilized lava in South Africa, it was just recently discovered it was infused with mycelium 2.4 billion years ago. An extraordinary fossil was found in Brazil this year, 1.2 billion years old. Mushrooms had their form. I present to you the concept that these are our elders. We separated from mycelium 650 million years ago, which just means this mushroom existed in its form more than 600 million years before animals began to emerge. In 1859, a fossil was found in Saudi Arabia. It stymied paleontologists, archaeologists. It was then, after exhaustive study, determined by Dr. Kevin Boyce to, in fact, be something heretofore unknown in science, existing 420 million years ago to 380 million years ago, dotting across the face of this planet, were giant mushrooms known as prototaxides, the tallest organisms on Earth, more than 10 meters tall. At a time, vascular plants had not yet emerged. The tallest plants were ferns. Dotting across the landscapes of Earth were these giant fungal forms. Their elevated height would attract electrical strikes from lightning. Their richness would invite insects. Epigenesis. The continents drift. Gondwana land. We have emerged from mycelium. We are born of these mycelial networks. They are sentient. They are aware. They know who you are. They are watching. Do we deserve our existence? Are we being true to our mother? "99% of all species have become extinct. Why? What is our destiny? What are you doing? Who are you? Nature knows. Extinction events. Extinction events are not new, but we have entered into 6X, the sixth greatest extinction event known in the history of life on this planet. We know that several extinction events have occurred from asteroid impacts. In several of these asteroid impacts, 250 million years ago, 65 million years ago, enormous amounts of debris have been jettisoned into the atmosphere. The Earth became cloaked in dust. Sunlight was cut off. Plants and animals died. And fungi inherited the earth. But, those organisms that paired with fungi survived. It is a lesson for us today. If we ally ourselves with fungi, they will help us survive. They will choose to allow us to survive if we are worthy. Be here now. The largest organism in the world today known is a mycelial mat in eastern Oregon. 2,200 acres in size, 1,665 football fields. A mycelial mat of the honey mushroom, Armillaria astoii, occupies the tops of mountain ranges. How is this possible? That a fungal network only one cell wall thick can have the largest mass of any organism on this planet? It is possible, because these are intelligent networks that are in constant biomolecular communication with the ecosystem around it. These are externalized stomachs, digesting nutrients, externalized lungs, exhaling carbon dioxide, inhaling oxygen. And I present to you the concept that these are extended neurological networks, sentient and aware, learning membranes that accumulate vast sums of knowledge. Mycelium generates water. % of plant matter is decomposed into mycelium to create water. Lenses of mycelium grow. They hydrate the environment around them. In advance of contact, creating aquifers, oases, moisture to benefit the plants and the animal communities that give rise to the debris fields that nourish the mycelium. Mico Genesis. The resident mycelium awaits in quietude. Rains come, temperatures drop. The mycelium wicks to the surface of the soil, breathes, inhaling oxygen, exhaling carbon dioxide. Light stimulates mushrooms to form. Mushrooms have no chlorophyll. but they're extremely photosensitive and grow towards and benefit light. We now know from the accident in Chernobyl in the Ukraine, in the containment vessels, black molded mycelium grew in abundance, exposed to more than 1 million rads of radioactivity. And the mycelium flourished on concrete. How is this possible? We now know that the melanizing fungi utilize radioactivity for metabolic processes as a fuel, similar to the way that plants use chlorophyll to utilize light for metabolism. From these accidents, we have learning lessons, expensively wrought. Will we learn? Will we remember? Will we put new solutions into action? These fungal elders are our teachers. We need to listen to them. Primordia, primordial, emergence, fructification. Suddenly, mushrooms form. Literally within minutes, microscopically, within hours to the naked eye. All hail Psilocybe azurescens, the most potent psilocybin active mushroom in the world. A species that I have the honor of naming. Up to 2% psilocybin and psilocin. Why? Azurescens grows where the Columbia River flows into the Pacific Ocean. And the beaches north and south of the Columbia River, this mushroom has naturalized. As a result of humans trying to stabilize the banks of the river to allow shipping lanes to come through, it's poetic justice that the Army Corps of Engineers incidentally cultivated Psilocybe azurescens, amplifying its genomics, which has now spread throughout the entire world. Psilocybin substitutes a serotonin, your primary neurotransmitter. "200,000 years ago, our primate ancestors suddenly went through an evolutionary jump. Their brain cavity nearly doubled, inexplicably. How? There is no explanation for this except for one. The stoned ape hypothesis, first postulated by Terence McKenna, as our primate ancestors left the trees and went across the savanna tracking ungulates, they would look for scat, and the most prominent mushroom would be Psilocybe cubensis that our ancestors would consume. and upon ingestion, we have liftoff. My good buddy Louis Schwartzberg and I have been working for 10 years on a film. What you've just seen is part of that film. We are at the next stage in the evolution of human consciousness. Neurogenesis. Alex Gray's portrayal of glossolalia, neurogenesis of our primate ancestors, led to languaging, artistic expression, the ability to strategize, to think beyond our own time horizons. Neurogenesis. Epigenetic neurogenesis from psilocybin increases neural mass and differentiation, signaling synapses, the ability to create, to ponder, to love, to reminisce, to honor, to love each other. In northern Algeria, 7,000 years ago, an artist portrayed the bee man. Magic mushrooms preserved in honey is a tradition that still is practiced today. The psilocybin infuses into the honey to create psychoactive mead. In 1516, in Germany, the Bavarian Beer Act prohibited the inclusion of mushrooms specifically by name. In the struggle of monotheism and Christianity to subjugate native pagan religions, we saw that the gateway and doorway to God was not mitigated by a church in between you and God. Presente. This is how a sacrament is presented. From the time of Demeter giving Persephone a mushroom before she went into the underworld, to the time where the great shaman Maria Sabina first gave R. Gordon Wasson a mushroom, to the time my brother John presented me with a beautiful psilocybe semilanciata. Presente of a sacrament. Art supersedes time. Mayan mushroom stones, hidden from the conquistadors in the 1500s. You were given an edict by the Catholic Church to destroy all effigies to subdue the pagan native religions. They were buried. With the conquistadors, they brought tuberculosis, smallpox, venereal diseases. The native religion did not have the sacraments in place to be able to heal their people. Diseases spread. The church promised everlasting life if you confessed your sins and you snitched on your neighbors who still practiced the native religions. This is the clash of cultures. We're better than this. Into the mycoverse. We can visioneer our future. A year and a half ago, the writers of Star Trek contacted me, saying, Paul, we're at a loss. We're in the dungeon. We cannot leave for weeks. We need to come up with a theme for Star Trek. Can you help us? I was very happy to receive that phone call. I said, we have a unique opportunity to create our own future. Just like the original Star Trek had the flip phone before we had the flip phone, the iPad before we had the iPad. Why not inspire future generations to create the reality that we want to see? We can make our future happen the way that we wish it to. All on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Laraaji. Thank you, Los Angeles. Thank you, Fathomers. Thank you, Moon.